For you. So we were talking a moment ago, what would happen if he is convicted? I know probation is a possibility, jail time up to 4 years, but you say there's an option where it could actually be, the jury could decide it's a misdemeanor? For you. So we were talking a moment ago, what would happen? For you. So we were talking a moment ago, what would happen if he is convicted? I know probation is a possibility, jail time up to 4 years, but you say there's an option where it could actually be, the jury could decide it's a misdemeanor. Can you explain that?
Yeah, it depends on whether or not, it depends on two things, whether or not the judge is really willing to charge it and whether or not the defense is willing to accept it. Keep in mind, this really is a misdemeanor that just put on a tuxedo to look like a felony. Mm-hmm. So if the judge gives the jury the option of the misdemeanor and the jury compromises, and look, juries love to compromise. Instead of being a hung jury, they may say, let's compromise on the misdemeanor. There's zero chance that he will go to jail for the misdemeanor. If he's convicted of 34 felony counts, given the fact that this judge clearly does not like him, and given the fact that this judge may want to send a message that no one is above the law, there is a possibility of an active sentence, custodial sentence for the former president.
And here's what the jurors at Trump's hush money trial are considering as they deliberate whether to convict the ex-president. A jury of 12 Manhattanites is now weighing whether to convict Donald Trump of illegally concealing $130,000 hush money payment to porn star Stormy Daniels before the 2016 election. The panel is 5 women and 7 men, could find the ex-president guilty of some or all of the 34 felony counts of falsifying business records. Felonies that each carry theoretical prison time of up to 4 years. Each count, from what I understand, is basically him just paying a monthly bill, right? So every count is exactly the same. He just paid a bill to his lawyer that month, and then the next month, they went back and looked at how many payments he made to his lawyer, Michael Cohen, and essentially gave him a charge for every single one of those. Even though Michael Cohen decided to take a loan out on his house and pay Stormy Daniels this hush money, which isn't even illegal, by the way, on his own accord. Then he admitted to stealing nearly $60,000 from Trump, which a lot of people think is actually more than that if you go and dig through the details. But here are the details that jurors are weighing while they work towards making a decision. Were the 34 different business documents falsified? Jurors were presented with 34 different business records prosecutors say were tied to Trump's alleged reimbursement of hush money his former fixer, Michael Cohen, paid to Daniels. For each of the 34 records, jurors will be tasked with deciding whether they are false beyond a reasonable doubt. The evidence presented by prosecutors at the 7-week trial in Manhattan Supreme Court showed that Cohen received $35,000 per month from Trump's trust account through 2017. Jurors also saw the handwriting of Cohen and then Trump Organization's CFO Alan Weisselberg in a document describing a scheme to pay Cohen a gross sum of $420,000 that year, including a bonus and to account for income taxes he'd have to pay. And here is what appears to be a screenshot of one of those receipts. Cohen and Weisselberg wrote these notes on a copy of bank statement that described Cohen's shell company paying Daniels' lawyer $130,000 in October 2016, days before the election. Yet the Trump company documents, including 11 invoices, 12 vouchers, and 11 checks, all describe the purpose of Cohen's payments as phony legal services, rather than as payback for silencing Stormy Daniels. But now Donald Trump is preparing for a guilty verdict. Now the judge has given instructions to the jury, they have begun deliberating, and in the instructions, the judge has rigged the trial against Donald Trump. The judge actually instructed the jury that they do not need to be unanimous in their decision as to the crime in order to convict him of falsifying business records. In a post here on X by Jonathan Turley, Merchan just delivered the coup de grace instructions. He said that there is no need to agree on what occurred. They can disagree on what the crime was among the 3 choices. Thus, this means they can split 4, 4, and 4. And he will still treat them as unanimous. What is this? Some kind of new Trump law? Trump rule? Never heard of anything like this before. I'm not a law scholar, but I've watched enough TV to know that This sounds kooky and crazy, right? Senator J.D. Vance is requesting the Attorney General conduct an investigation into Judge Juan Merchan. The Ohio Republican attended the hush money trial in support of Donald Trump. Judge Juan Merchan's unconstitutional gag order violates President Trump's First Amendment rights and is clearly illegal, Vance wrote on X. This morning, I sent a letter to the Attorney General requesting that he investigate Merchan's actions and consider prosecution for any criminal wrongdoing. At the very least, he should issue a document retention request so that future administrations can determine whether any illegal conduct transpired. Don Jr. shared Vance's letter as court began this morning. So at 11:32, the jury deliberation began. The panel of 12 jurors are now stepping out to begin deliberations in the criminal hush money trial against former President Donald Trump. 2 jurors volunteered to learn how to use the laptop so the jury can now review the evidence as they deliberate. Judge Juan Merchan thanks the alternates for remaining very engaged throughout the trial, noting one of them went through several notebooks. He does not dismiss them yet, in case they might be needed later on. He informs them they are to follow the same instructions he gave the jury. But inside the courtroom, Trump got up from the defense table, hefted a big stack of papers, gave a big smile to someone in the front of the courtroom, and said, "How are you?" So what instructions were given to the jury? Judge Juan Merchan spent a little over an hour giving the panel of 12 jurors instructions before they left the courtroom to begin deliberations. They include the following. Cohen is an accomplice. Even if the jury finds the star witness's testimony believable, they cannot convict Trump solely based on Cohen's testimony unless there is a corroborating evidence. Any 2 or more persons who conspire to promote or prevent the election of any person to a public office by unlawful means and which conspiracy is acted upon by 1 or more parties. That's such a joke, right? Hush money is not a crime. But unlawful means. Jury can consider FECA violations, falsification of other business records, and tax law violations. People must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Trump personally or acted with another person to make or cause false business records from an enterprise with the intention to defraud and to conceal another crime. Jury must determine this for each of the 34 records, 11 invoices, 12 vouchers, and 11 checks. Motive versus intent. Prosecutors do not need to prove a motive, but they are required to prove intent, which is conscious, objective, or purpose. And lastly, the verdict must be unanimous among all 12 jurors. But we saw how that can be broken down over the 3 different charges, right? Trump has been charged with 34 felony counts of falsifying business records in relation to the hush money payment made to adult film star Stormy Daniels. Trump has pleaded not guilty and denied Daniels' allegations. The prosecution argues that the payment was part of a larger effort to interfere with the 2016 presidential election and that Trump paid Cohen back through reimbursements misinterpreted as legal fees, which were written up by Cohen in order to try to steal money from Trump. But Trump gave remarks just outside of the courtroom, calling the hush money trial rigged as jurors began their deliberation.
In listening to the charges from the judges, as you know, very conflicted and corrupt, because of the confliction, very, very corrupt. Mother Teresa could not beat these charges. These charges are rigged. The whole thing is rigged. The whole country's a mess between the borders and fake elections. And you have a trial like this where the judge is so conflicted he can't breathe. He's got to do his job. And it's not for me, that I can tell you. It's a disgrace. And I mean that. Mother Teresa could not beat those charges, but we'll see.
Truly, what a shame to have no faith in the justice system. Trump's attorney, Alina Habba, also spoke.
Inside the court, you can confirm this. Every time defense raises an objection, judge overrules every objection from the defense and sustains every objection from the prosecution.
Yeah, I can't relate to that at all. It's unbelievable. I mean, you've seen it, and the way that the visceral reaction that this judge had when we had our one witness come up and he threw the press out, that kind of anger, that kind of TDS, frankly, we saw it with De Niro today.
It's just so disappointing that they didn't allow cameras to be in this courtroom. The American people have the right to see their former president, somebody that got over 70 million votes in the 2020 election. We have the right to know what is going on behind closed doors in this courtroom. And if you agree with that, go ahead and hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel. But the jury has been deliberating for about an hour and a half As deliberations are underway, former President Donald Trump has been posting on his Truth Social, including quotes from commentators, media, and legal analysts. Quote, "I don't even know what the charges are in this rigged case. I am entitled to specificity just like anyone else," Trump wrote. "There is no crime." Outside the Manhattan criminal courthouse, a small group of Trump supporters is gathered. Is it small? I don't think so. But then just 3 minutes ago, the jury has made 4 requests. 1. David Pecker's testimony about the phone call from Trump during his meeting in New Jersey. 2. David Pecker's testimony about the Karen McDougal agreement. 3. David Pecker's testimony about the Trump Tower meeting. And 4. Michael Cohen's testimony about the Trump Tower meeting. The note was signed by the 4-person. The prosecutors told jurors to analyze evidence during their closing arguments yesterday. Prosecutor Joshua Steinglass described it as 3 rich, powerful men high up in Trump Tower trying to become even more powerful by controlling the information that might reach the voters. Meanwhile, Twitter was blocking everything that was pro-Trump, hiding the Hunter Biden files, laptop, like all this stuff. Ashley Biden's diary, the whole thing. But 3 powerful rich men in Trump Tower are the real threat. But okay, after prosecutors and Trump's team decide which portions of testimony will be provided to jury, Judge Juan Merchan will bring them back to have the evidence read by a court reporter. The jury has been deliberating for 3.5 hours so far, and they could come back at any moment. This court case is crazy. It's not looking like Trump is going to win, but if they lock him up, like Kash Patel said, he's got this one in the bag. He will win the 2024 election. But what are your guys' thoughts? Do you agree with Kash? Let me know in the comments. And with that, I'm going to wrap it up. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Share this video. It really helps the channel out. And I'll see you guys in the next one.